These two are con men. They're not very good con men.
We've been busy earning money to pay you back.
Then you've got the full amount.
Not exactly, no.
How short are you?
He's about 5'2".
You boys don't get this money pronto, then I guarantee you'll both be digging a grave before the week is out.
Charlie Chaplin is buried right here in Vegas. We could dig him up and sell his body. Sell it to who? Highest bidder. He was worth a fortune. You might be onto something here.
Keep digging, otherwise the next grave we're digging is our own.
The family has offered a substantial reward for the return of his body.
This Chaplin thing is all over the news, and the mayor wants whoever's responsible caught.
The official reward is $100,000.
The missing dead comedian is in that apartment.
Why are you such an idiot? I feel like I'm babysitting a special needs giraffe or something.
You're a cop. He's a scumbag criminal. You figure out a way to set him up, we get him put away.
Those are our Chaplin boys, which means we know exactly where they are.
Every cop, trooper, and FBI agent in the state are looking for you too.
Show some respect. He's an icon.
Respect? We just dug him up.
Hello. Hey, there I am.
What's up, Simon? How you doing?
Not too bad, mate. How are you?
I'm doing great. And there's Paul. Gentlemen.
Hey, there I am.
Damn it. Damn it. I thought Paul wouldn't make it. Bloody hell. We'll have to do this together then.
Yeah, I heard rumors about him. Good thing he showed up, right?
Yeah. We'll talk about it later. Anyway, follow all the links that I just sent you, Jeff, and you'll read all about Paul Tanter.
Hey, 3/4 of those are not true.
It's not often I get an encrypted email, but I'll follow up on him.
Yeah.
I wouldn't open any attachments sent from Simon.
Hey, you shut your little whore mouth, Paul Tanter, okay?
Wow, this is one of those interviews. Great. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me to talk about stealing Chaplin. And hey, first of all, I'm a Las Vegas native, born and raised. I just don't remember Charlie Chaplin being buried here. So dramatic license.
Well, you see, that's where the difference between the words based on a true story and inspired by real events come in. So actually, I mean, it was a bit difficult for me to believe, actually, until Simon literally showed me the information existing in reality. That when he came to me and said, did you know that Charlie Chaplin was actually dug up by a pair of inept, bumbling criminals, and then who had then attempted to ransom him? The fact is, it actually did happen in 1977, and Charlie Chaplin is now buried under about 20 feet of concrete in Switzerland, where he spent his last years. But when we were looking at the idea of taking this story and making our own version of it, we decided to do a contemporary version, so set it in the modern day. But also, and this is no slight against Vegas, Jeffrey, but we wanted a city that sort of encompassed a place where people want to kind of get rich and that where there's lots of schemes and scams and grifts and that kind of thing happening. And Vegas seemed to be like a natural fit for it. Plus, also our producer Ken Bressers is based there as well, so he was able to sort of hook us up with a lot of local people and locations and vehicles and that kind of thing. So it was sort of a happy marriage of circumstance.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. People come here for their dreams and also to come here to do things I'm sure we don't know about. We have a long history of that. And, Simon, tell me about working with your co-star. You guys seem, even though you're so different physically, you seem to have great chemistry together. Your timing seems really, really good.
Well, my role was to be the good-looking, charismatic one. And Doug was, think of it, the Arnold Schwarzenegger, Danny DeVito movie, Twins, basically. Yes. Doug Phillips is Danny DeVito, and then the perfect specimen is Simon. So yeah,
doesn't Danny DeVito describe himself as genetic crap in that film?
Yeah, that's Doug Phillips. I'm so glad Doug isn't on this call.
Yeah, it's kind of confusing. You both have the same last name, but no relation, right?
We're no relation at all, but I keep telling people he's my dad. In real life, and as he's not here, I'm going to continue that right now. Doug Phillips is actually my father. He won't admit it, No, it's here's the thing. Doug Phillips should probably be here because he actually wrote this script. So even though we had the idea between me and Paul of like kind of not just the real events and stuff like that, but we developed up the setting it in Vegas and so on and so forth. Doug actually penned the script and wrote a great thing for me and him, sort of, which is just two bickering, like it's like a husband and wife just arguing all the time. And that was pretty easy for me and Doug to do because that's all we do in real life. So this was really easy, Jeff.
And Doug had to go the entire shoot with a tooth missing because that happened in the very first scene. I thought continuity. The poor guy had to just look beat up for the entire shoot.
Now let me tell you a story about that. I'm sure he'd love to come out. Doug actually lost that tooth on another project that we were filming, and it was actually hit out of his face by a 5'4" girl, a little actress called AC Carolyn, who's also in Stealing Chaplin. Actually punched him in the face by accident and knocked out his tooth. So he in case you hear any dramatic story of you should see the other guy. It was a small, tiny 100-pound girl that knocked it out.
What a game, lots of character.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So when that happened, at that point, Doug was saying, "Oh, I should get this fixed," and I said, "No. Okay, let's use it. We can, we'll the first scene in the film, we'll shove it back in your mouth, so your character has it. Then it gets punched out. Then for the rest of the film, you're missing it, and it sort of adds a bit of something to the character."
And tell me about your experience shooting in Las Vegas. How was the experience?
I mean, it's a fun place to shoot. It's very cinematic. It's one of the most cinematic places I've ever filmed. It's up there with New York and a couple of other places. In terms of actually filming, Ken, our producer, got us access to a lot of things, a lot of places. I would say Film Nevada were no help to us whatsoever. They hardly ever replied to our emails or calls. So therefore, because of that, whilst I do not encourage anyone to break the law, I do encourage people to embrace the spirit of independent guerrilla filmmaking. And we did have some scenes filmed on, for instance, the Strip and Fremont Street. And what we did was we very cleverly left them until the very last night of filming. So that way, if we did get arrested, it wouldn't matter because we wouldn't be filming the next day. And we went down there and we shot very quickly without permits and managed to get everything we needed with Doug and Simon dressed as chaplains in the middle of that place. Let me tell you something. Those guys dressed as chaplains was not the strangest people not the strangest people down there. And we got what we needed and got out of there just before we got arrested. So yeah, Vegas was a lovely place to shoot in that regard.
Well, I won't tell you, I won't say anything, I promise.
Paul is setting the standards very high when, the beginning of our day is like, it's all right, don't worry, guys. I've scheduled this for the last day in case we all get arrested. You're like, if we could go into one filming day where that wasn't a possibility, that would be great.
Well, go ahead.
I was going to say, I'll tell you one thing that was great about Vegas, in that we thought that we were going to, we lost the location halfway through filming, which is actually the cemetery that we were digging the coffin up out of. And the cemetery that agreed to let us film there then pulled out, saying that they didn't want that scene filmed there because it wouldn't represent them in a good light. And so we were mid-shoot. We were 2 days from filming that scene, and we were shooting that day with Wayne Newton in Champagne's bar. And he asked us how things were going. And we said, well, okay, but we've just lost the cemetery. And he said, well, look, why don't you film the scene in my backyard? And we sort of laughed and said, look, I think we need something a bit bigger than a backyard, Wayne. And he said, why don't you just come and see my backyard and then let me know what you think? And so we went to his place that evening, and his backyard is a 27-acre green, lush horse ranch that he breeds horses on in the middle of Vegas. And he said, how's this? And we were like, yes, this is perfect.
It's called Shenandoah. Yeah, it's Shenandoah.
Us naive Brits from out of town had not heard of it or seen it before, went there, and it's huge and it's beautiful. And, and all we had to do was dress in a few fake gravestones. And then Wayne very generously let us dig a very deep hole in the middle of his perfectly manicured lawn. So we were quite grateful there was no paparazzi looking over the wall that evening or anything. Otherwise, there probably would have been a story on TMZ the next day that Wayne Newton was having a grave dug in the middle of his backyard.
But getting Wayne Newton, that's got to be a story in and of itself, being in this movie, because it really classes up the film. He's Mr. Las Vegas. He's a local legend, not only just a big star, but he has a lot of acting experience, from James Bond movies to The Dark Backward. I mean, he's got a long, great history. Tell me about landing Wayne Newton.
Well, that was through our producer Ken. So he's plugged in very much so into Vegas, and he was talking to Wayne for a few business things that they were talking about. And ultimately, he presented him the script and told him about the project, and Wayne very generously came aboard and lent us his time and his talent. And he absolutely is. He's got a reputation as the nicest guy in show business, and it's well founded. He is absolutely the nicest guy. Let us have the run of his place for filming. His wife Kat jumped in and did a role for us as the news reporter reporting from the scene of the grave. His daughter Lauren came and did a role for us in the diner as a sort of surly waitress, and was brilliant in it. So it was a whole real family affair with the Newtons, and they couldn't have been kinder to us, and we thank them for it.
And not only that, he's really good. He's a good actor.
He's brilliant. As you said, he's got such a long CV going back to when he was doing, sort of cowboy stuff when he was a kid. Yeah, like multi-talented, can act, sing, dance. We went to his show while we were there, and man, it was a great show. Lots of jokes, stories, songs, brilliant. Yeah.
And Simon, in the middle of all this, you've got such a kind of a screwball farce when it comes to the ending. It's kind of like a curtain call with all the different characters who want a piece of this. But, Cal's more concerned about dating a waitress he met. I mean, where's his priorities? Uh-oh. Did we lose Simon?
Oh, I think Simon.
There he is. Oh, no. His internet's not doing good.
Guys are kind of idiots. You have to remember. Let me see if I can. Hold on, guys. Do you have me now? Hello?
Yes, we got you.
You got me now. Right, these two guys, they're idiots. They're sort of lovable rogues. So, yes, they don't have the best priorities. But remember, they started the day thinking that, digging up Charlie Chaplin was a good idea. So it all kind of goes downhill from that. So I don't know if their priorities are the best in the world. But they're good at being lovable and innocent in a way. They're kind of naive. They're definitely in over their heads on this one.
And you have such a cast of characters, and walking away, I have to say my favorite was Al Sapienza playing Billy. I just thought he was great in this.
Oh, Al is wonderful. We've done a couple of projects with Al, and he's one of those guys we always try and slip in somewhere into the movie just because we just love the way Al talks, his just turn of phrase, his expression. It's very alien to like me and Paul and stuff like that. And he just, to us, he's the sort of guy from Sopranos. But in real life, he's the guy from Sopranos. Just everything he says is gonna, like he goes, this fucking guy, like it's great. All his sort of vernacular and stuff like that. So it's very entertaining.
And I love the details, Paul. You have Charlie Chaplin's like his plate in front of his coffin, in front of where his grave is. I mean, I love the little details like that.
Yeah, well, we wanted something that visually kind of told the audience this is where he is. Something that was a little bit more than just, a sort of standard headstone. So we decided I think we got that made especially for this. And yes, I think it was a nice representation of where he's laying in the film, and something that I think our producer Ken now has on his wall as a souvenir.
Well, you guys are in good company, because I remember watching on the History Channel, someone stole Lincoln's body and they kept moving that around. And now Charlie Chaplin is in good company. So wonderful film, really fun. And thank you for putting Las Vegas in a good light. As a native, I always watch and see how my city's represented. This was a good representation. So I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.